the early 1900s, a man named Edgar Cayce, known to history as the Sleeping Prophet, entered deep trance states to deliver over 14,000 psychic readings. Out of these vast archives, one remedy emerged more consistently than almost any other. He recommended it in over 500 documented cases for ailments ranging from lymphatic congestion to severe systemic toxicity. He called it the Palm of Christ, or Palma Christi. But why would a humble, thick oil extracted from the seed of the toxic Ricinus communis plant bear the name of the healing hands of Christ? The answer lies in its molecular alchemy and its profound, almost miraculous ability to shift the human body out of sympathetic dominance and into deep cellular regeneration. To truly understand the depth of this remedy, we must journey back through time and peer into the paradox of its origin. The plant itself, Ricinus communis, produces a seed adorned with beautiful, intricate patterns. Yet, locked inside the hull of this mottled seed is ricin, one of the most potent and deadly natural toxins known to humanity. A mere fraction of a milligram is enough to end a human life. This is the ultimate biological paradox. How does a botanical vessel, carrying such profound destruction, yield an oil so highly revered for its life-giving properties? The secret is found within the extraction. Through the meticulous process of cold pressing, the toxic water-soluble ricin is left behind entirely in the seed mash, or the cake. What flows forth is a pure golden elixir, completely free of poison. This process is nothing short of natural alchemy. It is the literal and metaphorical transformation of death into life, of poison into a profoundly curative medicine. It is this very transformation that echoes the ancient esoteric traditions, suggesting that the greatest healing often emerges from the darkest and most potent sources. Throughout history, across the sun-baked landscapes of ancient Egypt to the early medicinal apothecaries of Europe, this golden fluid was traded, guarded, and revered. The ancient Egyptians documented its use on the Ebers papyrus, dating back over 3,500 years, utilizing it to protect the eyes from irritation and to stimulate digestion. But it was in the medieval monasteries of Europe that the oil earned its most sacred title. The monks, observing the deeply lobed leaves of the plant spreading open like a human hand, and witnessing the oil's seemingly miraculous ability to dissolve stagnation and heal wounds, named it Palma Christi, the Palm of Christ. Centuries later, Edgar Cayce would resurrect this ancient wisdom, pulling it from the ether during his legendary hypnotic trances. Cayce was a man with no formal medical training, yet when he lay down and entered his altered state of consciousness, he possessed an encyclopedic knowledge of human anatomy, physiology, and botanical medicine. When patients came to him, often after conventional medicine of the 1930s and 1940s had completely failed them, he would close his eyes, breathe deeply, and begin to speak. Time and time again, for conditions that baffled the physicians of his day, the Sleeping Prophet prescribed the Castor oil pack. He did not suggest swallowing it, which was the common, rather harsh, laxative practice of the era. Instead, he detailed a very specific, transdermal application. He insisted that the oil must be saturated into natural wool, placed over the right side of the abdomen, and driven into the body with sustained heat. Before we look at the cellular mechanics, we must sit with the magnitude of Cayce's legacy. He gave these recommendations during a time when the lymphatic system was largely ignored by mainstream medicine. The idea that a topical oil could penetrate the epidermis, bypass the bloodstream, and directly stimulate the movement of lymph fluid was considered highly unorthodox, if not entirely impossible. Yet, the thousands of individuals who diligently applied his strange, messy packs reported consistent, undeniable results. Swellings shrank, chronic pain dissolved, and sluggish digestive systems roared back to vibrant life. The Palm of Christ was not acting as a mere symptom suppressant. It was acting as a foundational reset for the human machine. Cayce explained that the physical body is a self-healing mechanism, provided the pathways of elimination are open and the cellular environment is balanced. He saw disease not merely as an invading force, but as an accumulation of toxins and a breakdown in the body's natural energetic frequencies. According to the readings, the Palma Christi acted as a heavy, grounding force that could absorb into the lymphatic system, breaking up adhesions, dissolving lesions, and stimulating the liver to release its burdened load. He spoke of the oil as having a unique vibratory resonance. In his esoteric physiology, every organ, every cell, and every fluid in the body hums at a specific frequency. When we are sick, when we are congested, those frequencies drop, the tissues become sluggish. Casey maintained that castor oil, when heated and placed over the liver and the vital lymphatic clusters of the gut, essentially broadcasts a frequency of perfect harmony into the diseased tissue. It acts as a bioenergetic tuning fork. But we are not just talking about mystical energy. What makes the Casey reading so profoundly fascinating today is how modern scientific inquiry is beginning to validate his trance-induced prescriptions. The scientific lens reveals that the magic of Palma Christi is driven by a very specific, highly unusual compound. We are stepping out of the realm of pure mysticism and into the hard, undeniable reality of molecular biology. The bridge between the sleeping prophet's visions and the microscopic reality of our immune system is built upon a unique fatty acid that exists almost nowhere else on Earth. And to unlock the true power of this protocol, we must understand exactly what happens the moment this golden oil touches human skin. To understand the profound physiological impact of the palm of Christ, we must first look deeply into its chemical architecture. When we place this golden liquid under the scrutiny of modern biochemical analysis, we discover a molecular anomaly that exists almost nowhere else in the natural world. The palm of Christ is the physical tool that anchors this high spiritual resonance into the dense clay of the human body. It is the perfect marriage of esoteric wisdom and profound physiological action, setting the stage for total cellular and energetic transformation. We have explored the historical mystery, the profound biochemical mechanisms, and the esoteric vibrational resonance of the palm of Christ. Now, we must ground this high-level theory into rigorous, physical application. This brings us to the advanced, step-by-step method guide. This is not the standard, simplified application you will find on basic health blogs or quick internet tutorials. What follows is an advanced, biologically optimized, and historically faithful protocol designed to maximize the transdermal absorption of ricinoleic acid and trigger a profound systemic shift. You are about to construct a bioelectric matrix on your own body. If you omit or alter these specific steps, you compromise the molecular and energetic integrity of the entire process. Therefore, strict adherence to these precise instructions is absolutely paramount for achieving the deep cellular regeneration that Edgar Casey originally documented. Step 1 is the critical foundation, sourcing the elixir. The modern market is flooded with heavily refined, chemically altered, and synthetically extracted oils that are entirely devoid of life force. You cannot achieve a high vibrational healing response using a low vibrational degraded product. You must acquire oil that is unequivocally certified organic, 100% cold pressed, and absolutely hexane free. Hexane is a neurotoxic petrochemical solvent commonly used in commercial extraction to maximize yield. Even trace amounts of hexane will be driven directly into your bloodstream and your liver, entirely defeating the purpose of a detoxification protocol. Furthermore, the oil must be purchased and stored exclusively in dark amber glass bottles. Castor oil is a powerful solvent. If it is stored in plastic, even high-grade plastic, it will systematically leach microplastics, phthalates, and synthetic xenoestrogens directly into the liquid. When you apply that plastic-tainted oil to your skin and apply heat, you are actively driving endocrine-disrupting chemicals into your lymphatic system. Accept zero compromises on sourcing. Seek the purest, thickest, most golden liquid available. Step 2 involves constructing the physical medium, the wool matrix. The vehicle that holds the oil against your skin is just as crucial as the oil itself. Many modern practitioners substitute cheap cotton or synthetic fabrics for convenience. This is a profound physiological error. You must use only high-quality, unbleached organic wool flannel. Why wool? Because wool is an animal fiber, and unlike plant-based cotton, it retains a specific thermogenic and bioelectric property. Wool possesses a natural frequency and an insulating capacity that holds the energetic signature of the oil while reflecting your body's own radiant heat back into the tissues. You must take a large piece of this unbleached wool and fold it meticulously into 3 distinct layers. This 3-layered thickness is necessary to hold a significant volume of the heavy oil without drying out during the prolonged treatment time. The folded rectangular matrix should be large enough to cover your entire abdominal region, from your lower rib cage down to the crest of your right hip bone. This is not a mere compress. It is a dense, organic poultice designed to interact electromagnetically with your dermal layer. Step 3 is the delicate process of preparation, the saturation technique. A common mistake is pouring the heavy oil directly onto the human skin and then placing a dry cloth over it. This prevents the formation of the necessary sustained energetic field. Instead, you must lay your 3-layer wool matrix flat inside a glass or ceramic dish. Slowly pour the golden elixir directly into the center of the wool. You are aiming for a saturation level that is deep and thorough, but not dripping. Begin with roughly 3 to 4 tablespoons of the liquid. Use your fingers to massage the oil into the fibers, ensuring it spreads evenly toward the edges, while leaving the very outer perimeter slightly dry to prevent excessive spilling. The wool should look heavy, darkened, and completely saturated with the medicine. As you prepare the pack, you should not be in a state of rushing or mental distraction. Treat this preparation as an act of focused intention, setting the energetic stage for the physical healing that is about to occur beneath the surface of your skin. Step 4 requires absolute anatomical precision. The placement, the precise location of the pack dictates the biological systems you are commanding to activate. While the pack can be used on various joints or injuries, the core systemic protocol requires you to place the saturated wool directly over the right hemisphere of your abdomen. Lay down comfortably on your back. Take the oil-drenched matrix and drape it over your right side. The top edge should sit just under your right breastbone, effectively blanketing the entire right lobe of the liver and the gallbladder hidden beneath it. The fabric should extend downward, covering the ascending colon, the small intestine, and stopping just above the right hip, perfectly positioning it over the critical ileocecal valve. This valve is the crucial gateway between your small and large intestines, and it is a major hub of lymphatic tissue. By covering this exact biological real estate, you are flooding the body's primary detoxification organs and the densest concentration of Peyer's patches with the charged ricinoleic acid. You are strategically targeting the exact organs responsible for filtering your blood and managing your systemic immune response. Step 5 is the catalyst that forces the biological reaction, the heat application. Ricinoleic acid is a heavy, viscous lipid. At room temperature, its transdermal absorption rate is relatively slow. To exponentially accelerate this process, you must introduce a sustained, penetrating thermal element. First, you must apply a protective barrier over the wool pack. Do not use plastic wrap, as the heat will cause the plastic to off-gas into the oil. Instead, use an unbleached piece of parchment paper or a dedicated organic cotton towel to cover the wool. Over this barrier, you will place your heat source. While a traditional hot water bottle is acceptable, the advanced biohacked protocol demands the use of a far-infrared heating pad. Standard electric heating pads merely warm the surface of the skin. Far-infrared frequencies, however, safely penetrate up to 3 or 4 inches deep into the human body. This invisible spectrum of light creates a deep, resonant friction at the cellular level. It literally dilates the bile ducts of the liver, expands the lymphatic vessels, and forcefully drives the ricinoleic acid deep into the visceral organs. Set the pad to a comfortably medium-high temperature, ensuring it does not burn the skin, but provides a profound, heavy warmth. Step 6 is the final and most demanding phase, the rhythmic cycle and the duration of stillness. Once the heat is applied, you have initiated a powerful metabolic shift. You cannot simply walk around or return to your daily stress. You must remain laying down in a state of total parasympathetic rest for an absolute minimum of 45 to 60 minutes. Some advanced practitioners will extend this period to 90 minutes or even 2 full hours. During this time, you must breathe deeply into your diaphragm, mechanically pumping the lymphatic fluid that the oil is currently activating. You are not just resting, you are actively participating in a profound internal cleanse. To achieve maximum systemic transformation, this is not a one-time event. You must commit to a very specific rhythmic cycle. You will perform this exact ritual for 3 consecutive days. On the first day, the body recognizes the shift. On the second day, the deep purging begins. On the third day, the maximum amount of trapped toxicity is released into the elimination channels. After these 3 days of intense metabolic work, you must give your body 4 days of complete rest to process and flush the liberated waste. You will repeat this cycle 3 days on, followed by 4 days off for exactly 1 month. This requires discipline, but it is the definitive advanced protocol required to unlock the true miraculous power hidden within the palm of Christ. Only through this dedicated, uninterrupted sequence can you fundamentally rewrite your biological baseline. This 1-month commitment is the absolute threshold where chronic inflammation dissolves, deep tissue regeneration takes hold, and the body's native intelligence is fully restored. The discipline you invest here is the exact currency required to purchase back your ultimate vitality and harmonic alignment. Do not underestimate the profound shift that will occur within your cellular matrix when you honor this ancient, sacred rhythm with unwavering consistency and focus. As we enter the final phase of this advanced protocol, we must address the critical rules of safety, the precise method of closure, and the deep integration of this work. The palm of Christ is not a passive substance. It is a profound biological catalyst. Almost 90% of castor oil consists of a highly unique compound known as ricinoleic acid. To grasp why this matters, you must visualize the structure of this molecule. Ricinoleic acid is an unsaturated omega-9 fatty acid. It features a chain of 18 carbon atoms. However, it is what happens at the 12th carbon atom that unlocks its miraculous healing potential. Attached to this specific 12th carbon is a hydroxyl group, an oxygen and a hydrogen atom bound together. This singular, seemingly microscopic addition changes everything. It makes the molecule highly polar, meaning it carries a distinct electrical charge. It is this specific electrical charge, this hydroxyl group on the 12th carbon, that allows ricinoleic acid to perform biological functions that standard carrier oils, like coconut or olive oil, simply cannot achieve. When you apply this electrically charged oil to the surface of your body, an incredibly complex, step-by-step biological sequence is initiated. Step 1 is epidermal penetration. The human skin is designed to be an impermeable barrier, keeping the outside world out. The outermost layer, the stratum corneum, repels most water and many large lipid molecules. However, the unique polarity and low molecular weight of ricinoleic acid allow it to bypass this barrier. It slips between the tightly packed cells of the epidermis, journeying deep down into the dermis. Step 2 is capillary diffusion. Once inside the dermal matrix, the ricinoleic acid does not immediately rush into the bloodstream. Instead, it demonstrates a profound affinity for the lymphatic capillaries. These are the microscopic, blind-ended tubes that weave through your tissues, absorbing cellular waste, dead proteins, and excess fluid. The polar nature of the oil acts almost like a magnetic draw, stimulating the smooth muscle cells that line these fragile lymphatic vessels to begin pulsing. This brings us to the core engine of the body's immune system, the lymphatic network. Unlike your circulatory system, which relies on the powerful pumping action of the heart to push blood through miles of veins and arteries, the lymphatic system has no central pump. It relies entirely on muscular contraction, deep diaphragmatic breathing, and mechanical stimulation to move fluid. When you are sedentary, stressed, or toxic, this system stagnates. The fluid thickens, cellular sewage backs up. This stagnation is the biological breeding ground for chronic inflammation, autoimmune conditions, and systemic fatigue. Here is where the advanced biochemistry of Edgar Cayce's protocol becomes awe-inspiring. Step 3 of the biological sequence is systemic lymphatic activation. When the ricinoleic acid absorbs into the lymphatic capillaries of the abdomen, it triggers a cascade of lipid mediators. Specifically, it interacts with receptors known as prostaglandin E3 receptors. The activation of these receptors commands the smooth muscles of the lymphatic vessels to contract rhythmically and vigorously. You are, at a cellular level, kick-starting a stagnant engine. As the lymphatic fluid begins to pump, it flows toward a critical junction located deep within the center of your abdomen, just below the diaphragm. This junction is called the cisterna chyli. Think of the cisterna chyli as the grand central station of your lymphatic system. It collects lipid-rich lymph from the lower half of your body and the digestive tract before pushing it upward through the thoracic duct to be cleansed and integrated back into the bloodstream. By placing the castor oil pack directly over the abdomen, you are applying the ricinoleic acid exactly where it can flood the cisterna chyli, drastically increasing the volume and flow of lymphatic drainage throughout the entire human organism. But the alchemy of the palm of Christ goes beyond mere plumbing and fluid dynamics. Step 4 is the awakening of the cellular defense grid. Groundbreaking immunological studies have demonstrated that when a castor oil pack is applied to the abdomen for a minimum of 2 hours, a measurable systemic change occurs within the blood plasma. Within 24 hours of application, patients show a significant increase in their total lymphocyte count. Lymphocytes are your body's elite disease-fighting soldiers. Specifically, the oil triggers an explosion in the production of T-cell lymphocytes. These T-cells are the hunter-killers of the immune system. They seek out viruses, bacteria, mutated cellular structures, and foreign pathogens, effectively neutralizing them. By simply applying a transdermal lipid compound to the skin, you are signaling your bone marrow and thymus to manufacture and deploy millions of new immune cells into your circulatory and lymphatic pathways. Furthermore, Casey was incredibly specific about where to place the pack. He continuously directed individuals to lay the saturated wool over the right hemisphere of the abdomen, blanketing the liver, the ascending colon, and the small intestine. Modern gastroenterology now reveals exactly why this placement is anatomically flawless. Lining the walls of your small intestine are thousands of tiny, specialized lymphatic nodules known as Peyer's patches. These Peyer's patches make up the gut-associated lymphoid tissue, which accounts for roughly 70% of your entire immune system. They are the surveillance centers of the enteric nervous system, constantly sampling the environment of your gut to decide whether your body should be in a state of inflamed defense or a state of peaceful regeneration. When you live a lifestyle dominated by processed foods, environmental toxins, and chronic psychological stress, the Peyer's patches become overwhelmed, inflamed, and hyperreactive. They trap sympathetic nervous system trauma. However, when the palm of Christ touches the skin over the abdomen, its ricinoleic acid penetrates directly into this tissue matrix. Step 5 is the modulation of the gut-associated lymphoid tissue. The oil acts as a powerful anti-inflammatory agent, down-regulating the stress response within the Peyer's patches. It reduces the swelling in these nodes, allowing trapped toxins to flush out into the active lymphatic stream. As the inflammation in the gut subsides, a profound neurological shift occurs. The enteric nervous system communicates directly with the brain via the vagus nerve. As the physical tension and toxic load in the digestive tract are dissolved by the ricinoleic acid, a signal of safety is transmitted up the vagus nerve to the brainstem. This forces the central nervous system to shift out of the sympathetic fight-or-flight survival mode and drop deeply into the parasympathetic state of rest, digest, and repair. This is the state where true healing occurs. You cannot regenerate cellular tissue while your nervous system believes it is under attack. By increasing lymphatic drainage, expanding the T-cell count, and soothing the Peyer's patches, the oil chemically forces the body into a state of profound physiological peace. Casey recognized something modern science is just now validating through lipid profiling and immunological assays. The secret to total systemic health does not lie in masking symptoms with synthetic compounds. It lies in addressing the root stagnation of the biological waters. When the palm of Christ touches the skin, it is not simply acting as a localized lubricant. It acts as a molecular tuning fork, vibrating at a frequency that awakens dormant immune centers, dissolves hardened metabolic waste, and forces the rivers of the lymphatic system to flow with pristine clarity once again. To truly grasp the magnitude of Edgar Cayce's healing protocols, we must cross the threshold from dense molecular biology into the realm of esoteric physiology and quantum vibrational resonance. Cayce did not view the human body merely as a machine of meat and bone, bound by the deterministic laws of a cold universe. He saw it as a dynamic, living matrix of light and sound, a symphony of frequencies. To him, the physical flesh was the final, most dense manifestation of unseen spiritual and mental forces. In this deep, esoteric framework, the nervous system and the spinal column are not just biological wires. They represent the literal tree of life within the human temple. Every organ, every gland, and every cell in your body hums at a specific, quantifiable frequency. When we are in a state of perfect health, this internal chorus vibrates in absolute harmony. However, when we harbor trapped emotions, unresolved traumas, or what the pioneering psychoanalysts might call the heavy, repressed elements of the unconscious shadow, this psychic weight eventually condenses into physical toxicity. The shadow literally takes form in the flesh as stagnation, lowering the vibratory rate of the tissue. Disease, in his trance state, was simply this localized lowering of vibration, leading to a profound failure of cellular elimination. If we wish to heal, we must understand the fundamental truth echoing through the minds of great inventors who realized that the universe is governed entirely by energy, frequency, and vibration. You cannot solve a problem at the same level of consciousness that created it, and you cannot heal a vibratory distortion solely with dense physical interventions. You must introduce a higher, more harmonious frequency to override the disharmony. To create a new state of health, one must almost learn to ignore the current, degraded physical reality of the illness, withdrawing attention from the symptom and placing it entirely on the restorative energetic pattern. This is the profound secret of the Palma Christi. Cayce stated that this specific oil possessed a unique vibrational signature, a cosmic resonance that perfectly matched the optimal frequency of the human excretory and lymphatic systems. It does not just push lymph fluid mechanically. It acts as a biospiritual tuning fork. When you place the saturated wool over your abdomen, you are essentially laying a liquid hand of light over the organs of detoxification. The oil broadcasts a frequency that penetrates the physical density of the body, reaching into the energetic blueprint beneath. Imagine a dissonant, chaotic chord being played on a piano. Now imagine a master tuning fork struck to a perfect, ringing pitch brought near the strings. The chaotic vibration is forced to entrain, to harmonize with the stronger, purer frequency. This is the exact mechanism of the castor oil pack. It literally draws out toxicity by breaking up the disharmonious frequencies of hardened mucus, organ adhesions, and cellular waste. It shatters the dense, low-vibrational constructs of illness, allowing the body's innate intelligence to flush the debris away. Let us look deeper into the architecture of this resonance. The abdomen, specifically the area housing the liver and the solar plexus, is the vital emotional processing center of the body. It is where we hold our deepest existential fears and our most primal survival instincts. When we operate in a constant state of fear, the energetic centers here become blocked. The flow of vital life force becomes strangled. The manifestation of this energetic strangulation is a sluggish liver, a stagnant gallbladder, and a compromised immune response. By applying the gentle, rhythmic heat over the oil-soaked pack, you are amplifying this vibrational transfer. The far infrared heat acts as a carrier wave, driving the high-frequency resonance of the ricinoleic acid deep into the cellular matrix of the liver. The liver is the great alchemist, responsible for transmuting toxins into harmless byproducts. When the liver is bathed in the resonant field of the palm of Christ, it experiences a profound energetic reset. It is reminded of its original, divine blueprint. This process bridges the vital gap between the ethereal energy body and the dense physical form. Modern quantum physics tells us that matter is mostly empty space, held together by invisible fields of energy. The physical body is, in a sense, a deeply convincing holographic projection of our consciousness and our energetic state. By utilizing the castor oil pack, you are bypassing the conscious mind's resistance. You are communicating directly with the subconscious intelligence of the cells, delivering a message of safety, release, and supreme harmony. To understand this deeper, consider the ancient concept of the demiurge, the idea that our immediate, flawed physical world is a dense, imperfect construct, a kind of simulated reality that distracts us from the higher spiritual truth. Our chronic illnesses and biological failures are often trapped within this lower, restrictive matrix of thought and matter. The physical body becomes trapped in a loop of its own suffering, believing the illusion of its permanence. But the Palma Christi acts as an energetic solvent, a substance that operates outside the rules of this dense biological simulation. It carries the signature of the higher, uncorrupted realms. When it is introduced to the body, it reminds the cells of their connection to the infinite source, effectively breaking the hypnotic spell of disease. Furthermore, the practice of applying the pack requires absolute stillness. In this stillness, you are stepping out of the chaotic, linear flow of time and entering a space of pure presence. You are not fighting the disease. You are transcending it. You are shifting your internal state so profoundly that the disease no longer has a resonant environment in which to exist. The low-frequency shadow cannot survive in the high-frequency light introduced by the oil and your focused, peaceful intention. The physical healing that follows is simply the dense matter catching up to the new energetic reality you have established. Therefore, the application of the pack is not merely a medical intervention. It is a sacred act of realignment. You are dedicating 1 hour of your time to silence the noise of the external world, to turn your awareness inward, and to allow a master plant teacher to retune your biological instrument. You are actively participating in the dissolution of your physical and energetic blockages. As the oil absorbs, it is literally lifting the veil of illness, allowing the pristine, high-vibrational truth of your original design to shine through the biological density. The sleeping prophet understood that true healing requires this multidimensional approach. You cannot separate the mind, the spirit, and the flesh. They are a single, continuous spectrum of vibration.